Fallacies and biases, try to figure it all out yourself. Pulses of 100, slip disc from falling on black ice. Zubin's in remission. Who can decide but yourself? I want 100 scalps and a second breath. Something fishy's going on here. Television's turning themselves on. Naughty belly button shouting out, shut up and show me respect like Mel Gibson. Out is stevia belching out the alphabet, salting the soil with jellyfish. House sitting out of selfishness. Hot packs on your pelvis. Teletubbies confessing for smelling flowers like they were pissing blood from kidney failures. Fallacies and biases, try to figure it all out yourself. Pulses of 100, slip disc from falling on black ice. Ubin's in remission. Who can decide but yourself? I want 100 scalps and a second breast. Slitting wrists and dressing up like Elvis, shunning Mennonites for gaining intelligence about ignition coils. Foiling the plot for Soviet destroyers, storing bodies in the hayloft like they were misfit toys at Bristol Island. Putting out mixtapes, discontinuing subscriptions because I missed the milestone, shafting me like bile pigments. He turned away from his brother. Watch his face turn from fully engaged to simpleton and stay like that forever. Watch the world condemn us as we convert themselves into human waste from a part-time mother. Worst of all, she comes in late with a certain lack of worship for a burly man who breaks his back, accepting bribes from every working class girl acting as nurses. Commit to the fact and vice versa. If I had a nickel every time I heard someone attack Jerusalem, I would belly flopping delis like a Machiavellian with a touch of Hennessy in my semi-attached low-cut cardigan. I sell dope, but not for them. I can't devote any time to sailing boats up the river, but I could show you how to sober up anyone from Liverpool. Just pull out a pair of dueling pistols and bring up pollution issues concerning local fishing holes. I'm fully optimistic we will see a revival in the coming biosphere. Lack of energy coming off your Bibles. Stashing idols of any demigod is sacrilegious, but you'll lap them in an IQ test if you surrender to their wishes. I don't exceed the excuse, exceeding limits of the truth. Each individual has its own proof that nobody else believes, but I won't hold myself solely responsible. Wake up in the mental hospital without alarm to cut or car to pull into the driveway without winding the clocks back. An out rule my doctor has: never hold yourself a philosophical hostage to anyone for a slot in a relationship. You have to get your own allotment. Hop over the raising point like Dante's Peak when they're trying to put together a scheme, a simulation that'll only precede you by gravity. And with you sneeze, you can open up a bag of chips without a segue to curiosity. Imitations of a leisure activity that gets more flack than a gateway to a she's started through convulsion prognosis. Heavy look kind appetite, probably caused by your devotion to her outer hips. You can catch a majority of men inclined by this summer 9/11 denier. Humans evolved from dinosaurs. Lincoln died from cyanide poisoning like Hitler, except he doesn't have the North or the equipment to penetrate an endorsement deal because he's crooked. Never combine hatred to your reputation, sex to your revelations. On the cusp of creation, had to cut out the world. Cults that let out vibrations. When the drugs are beneath me, I'll be loved so discreetly, defined by my personality instead of Virgin Mary's fashion statements. Left terrible directions for my path in life, so I started asking strangers, acting out of character like leaking packages of sack of potatoes. The natural habitat for black cats is crossing minefields in a Cambodian village. Flattery is an affliction, making me watch chocolate again while throwing matchsticks out the window in the salad spinner is not behavior. And winning every argument isn't larger than the mercury found in the thermometer in your mouth through sickness and health. I can't convince your nose it smells flowers, just not Roosevelt releasing doves, just not brass bells. We can fly, we don't lie, we don't see a reason why to make Jesus, give up teaching congested cities. Learn from old western cities. Extras paid in manure. Honored guest of the planet, given 10 cartoon breasts. Then I suggest I need tampons for cigar burns, tree branches, arms that don't serve a purpose except for lynching grand wizards. Like Saddam's tricks that tested negative for weapons of mass destruction, stealing coins from the palace fountains to impress women back at home. But that doesn't stop the subtle increase over many years of Sentile tears coming off the doorsteps. We were centigrated, but we had ourselves excommunicated. I share a trait with God, it comes with the territory of eliminating truth from fact and disseminating marital ceremonies with the charcoal souls of our feet. Tarragon in a hand, God's another region from a clerical error on me, walking down the street without a care in my mind. I can voluntarily wipe out the population of the barbarian relief with a disease that's cured by creating awareness on a systematic decline. Away with the tariffs and waving the widgets, conveying the right of displaying religious articles and complacence with harmony. If matters are arbitrary, where does that leave? Cut off his measures, I can find myself jerking off to mild army letters, conversations like conglomerates, reaching elevated status. Broke it down into categories with the ones who think they'll be used as the apparatus, during what I call an act of love term problematic. When someone serves as an accommodation to the former riots act, you gotta put up walls between you and your goal. If I could sell myself to Buddha, but I'd rather get a poster of myself of ownership, cause everything is kosher. I'm in between two different stages of life forms. I diligently put myself through humility to reciprocate for everyone's ability to commit a sin before they reach the birth canal and meet a corner of the continuum, like a chemical reaction on biblical proportions. Microorganisms visiting Middle Earth to prepare for the probability of a confabulated inconsistency in the story of Genesis. But you only mocked them because you rendered speechless in an attempt to forgive and devote a confidence given to commemorate some kind of weakness that you portray from someone that you saw on television. During my exorcism, I was yelling at him to guide me to heaven. So when I see God, I can haggle with him over my rebellious side that reaches its own magnitude of evolution. The constant life is always precious. My vacant mind offers ever essence to a vessel that can fly away and condenses the rest in a lake of implements and lost possessions. But I'll make you my number one priority if you can show me how to face my past without taking out my brain and cutting it in half just because I'm medically different. Be adherent to the voices, I can see them coming bigger every second, but they get prevented from appearing in the brochure because it's unbecoming to walk around with no cure for an unspoken word that opened up cognitive thinking. In a room filled with objects, I would lock them in, but they can get out using telekinesis. I seek proof that we can work together. Why does it feel better to hurt than taking beta blockers every time we feel the fatal aftershock of naval officers looking through binoculars, and we reserve our arsenal for an ancient sarcophagus less labor intensive than we call in the mafia, to vaguely walk amongst us in a way that makes us contemplate the connection between natural selection and our existence, and watch it all come crumbling down like vaccination before conception, in a way that only demographic shows in the shadow of conventional killings. The Betty Ford Clinic was originally meant for lengthy business instead of medical requisitions, and going a cappella in a padded room was only added during mid-century while doctors were still combing through catalogs of crashes on the moon and solar flares. I was just a twinkle in my father's eye when I immersed myself in the politics of the common man that told a lie that I would later have to reconsider to assume the opposition. Liquid. Life is question, understanding is death. I'm a one of a kind, I was born in a tuxedo, got a skittle to slip him a Rex on the step out when he colic, roll a clip for Cleto. Who can make it happen, can you remember? He had the whole set in the cell screaming when we jump bail. I'm the uncontrollable black demon that leave you shaking. That's the last thing you forgot about this whole city sits. Well, you get your shit wrong, and I get my shit weighed while I'm waiting. Hate my cell phone business because I'm the code written by our grandma Lynn. Can I get a hitness, a hitness, a hitness, a hitness? Because I'm gonna tinker with their brains when they go to sleep and put their hands in warm water. The American motto to shoot first before you can think up a consulate question and prepare for the onslaught of humanitarians. Try to dress me with the quarter, look ruder just because I have my door locked with a chain. When the whole town goes thirsty, I'll be drilling for the same rock, and if it rains murder again, we'll be ranked by 50 virgins, and the one at the rope burn for old time's sake. Health insurance got my note signed by my parents. They're trying to drown out my sound like a funeral home with the caskets on spinners. When they get lowered into the ground, blast first my self-protection if it really works, but that's your opinion, not mine. That doesn't really matter anymore. I ain't gonna go down to the one advantage rolled up with a Century Sam. If you put a whole city on one corner, it would end up to be like East Flamingo Road in Covell Lane. Don't try to be incoherent when they brought in you. They just up savvy. They had a falling out with their parents when they showed up with a clown on the first day before he got the courage to ask him to marry her. But she had dropped the first royal quarters on charades. But I got a quarter-horse pony who turned out to be a stallion because I fed it Rolades. Real street, I got my set ready to roll. And we don't put on a paper mask until the chef's ready to collaborate. For real street, I get the grill under the mattress, and I ain't ready to grab it until I finish the goddess flagship. Rather, just set my whole block jumping on my dick when they say that yours is fatter. For real, just got me real back on time, and when there's one jumping on your dick, I won't be giving them no showtimes. Killing the same house as Amityville. Bring the remains out and hand them to the police dressed as a forensic examiner and blame it on the candle leading into the entry from the fan to the room. They say they must have been driven into insanity to have beat them all to death without a hitness. Can I get a hitness? Can I get a hitness? Coming back for Christmas like Black Santa. If I had pineapple juice and the coffee was burned, had to listen to his testimony, my hate would be filled with happiness of yesterday only, because I'm not gonna empty the clip in my belt and my hose in the black seat. My corner civil, we get flows. When does it? Who decides what should happen? Do the math and see who defies us. The only logical explanation through the resuscitation of the whole damn condemnation. Lacerations on his chest, but he got asked to participate as a guest without any reservations. There would be no hesitance in society, but it applies when I ask myself, when do I start to resemble Haitians?